What's up, wrestling fans? Whoa, there is an arrow right over my mouth on the screen. Then that looked really weird and it was very distracting. What's up, wrestling fans? I'm Doug. That's Kevin, and it's a Thursday night. What is happening?
It is a Thursday night, but it is also a holiday. We're getting everyone ready for the Memorial Day weekend because, there's a lot of wrestling on this Memorial Day weekend, which is why, Doug, our main event tonight is not one preview, but two previews. We got double the kings and double the queens. We're doing King and Queen of the Ring and Double or Nothing.
Ooh, double. A double.
Double. Which is why we didn't do a show on Sunday night. We wanted to make sure we gave the most thorough preview we could possibly get with new matches added to both of these premium live events. And I think we're ready to get folks ready for a weekend chock full of wrestling.
I like that. Ready to get folks ready. I like that a lot.
Are you also ready for this?
Oh, there it is. There we go. Opening bell. Let's do this.
We got so much to cover in the way of previews for this weekend. Let's get right to the news so we can get to our main event. We're going to start with breaking news. And by breaking, I mean announced just today that while Minneapolis may have lost out to Las Vegas when it comes to next year's WrestleMania, they are getting SummerSlam in 2026. SummerSlam will take place in Minneapolis on August 1st and August 2nd, 2026.
Wait, what?
That's right. Exactly. That's really the big news coming out of today's announcement is that for the first time, SummerSlam is expanding to a 2-night event. It's getting the WrestleMania treatment. It will be interesting to see how many more, next Royal Rumble. We'll do the Women's Royal Rumble on one night, the men's on another. WWE is finding with their big events, WrestleMania being the test subject here, you bring fans internationally into a city for a weekend.
Fair.
You can charge them twice. You can get twice the viewership. They know that they can really make that work. They're going to test it out with SummerSlam.
Okay, that's fair. I was going to say I'm not sure that I like that, but I actually understand the business logic behind it. But I think it should just be for special PLEs like WrestleMania. But I'm a little old school, I guess.
You're a little old school for sure.
I'm old school, absolutely. That is for sure.
What I planned to lead with, Doug, was actually more WWE business news. While we're talking the economics of wrestling, this is a major change that is occurring with WWE's business model. We have been reporting for some time now how WWE's business post-acquisition, post-McMahon has really been booming. And now the Fed is looking to make it even more lucrative. Previously, WWE only sought site fees for its biggest pay-per-views.
Right.
Things like what we've just been talking about, Mania, SummerSlam. Site fees are basically the money a city pays to bring a major event like a pay-per-view to town. For example, the recent announcement of WWE bringing the next Mania to Vegas was reportedly a $5 million deal the city put up just to have Mania in Las Vegas. And now with many of the lesser pay-per-views, I don't want to call them B shows, but the B pay-per-views going overseas, they're getting site fees for events that they never got site fees for here in the United States, which is one reason why they keep looking to do more of those. Well, now WWE is looking to have a city pay for the privilege of bringing Raw and SmackDown to town. This has never been done before, but with business as hot as it is right now for WWE, getting municipalities to pony up cash for TV shows is not only a new revenue stream that has yet to be tapped, but it greatly takes away the financial risk inherent with live touring. Just ask AEW about that. Which is my segue into our next topic of AEW and touring. Their business model is going a bit the other way. Since our last show, Doug, it was announced that AEW is going to lead up to their biggest pay-per-view of the year, All In London, by first having a 6-week residency in Arlington, Texas. That residency would have them altogether. It's 5 editions of Collision in the same building, as well as that same building will play host to Ring of Honor, the premium live event Death Before Dishonor. At Esports Stadium in Arlington, which holds 2,500 people. Recently, both Collision and Dynamite have fallen to a per show average that is below 3,000 tickets a show. And obviously, this is a cost-cutting move. Touring is expensive. Ticket sales not been great.
Right.
But while moving to a smaller venue makes sense, the issue is going to be, Doug, will they be able to sell 2,500 seats 6 times?
Consistent. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm thinking. Because consistent, I understand the logic behind it, but then they're in a market like unless Arlington is like a super hot wrestling market where people are going to come back and keep coming back. I mean, hell, they had a hard time keeping Daly's place full, or not even full, but people in Daly's place when they were. That's their home. So I don't have.
And don't you think this is maybe? Isn't this a bit of a risk too, to maybe have 5 weeks of not so hot crowds, dwindling crowds leading into what you hope to be your biggest show?
Yeah, I mean, you have to sell 80,000 tickets to that, and consistently sell close to what'd you say, 2,500. At least you need 24 people, 2,400 people, or maybe 22 or 24 people in there by the end of that residency. Who knows?
Say, by the last Collision, there might be 25 people in the crowd. Yeah, man, I kind of got a bad feeling about it too. I know that NXT has shown that you can really get a hot crowd with a really small devoted fan base in like the Performance Center. But I do think we're talking something a little different with AEW. And as you said, what is the wrestling community like in Arlington? We know what it is in Orlando, Florida. That's a hotbed of wrestling. Lots of tourists always coming through. Crowd will change over. It doesn't have to always be the same amount of people. Maybe you can run that small venue. Heck, WCW and TNA both ran Universal and Disney World back in the day and did fine. I don't know about Arlington.
I don't either. I mean, I don't know anything about Arlington as far as the wrestling market goes, or honestly, as far as anything goes about Arlington, but maybe it's a super hot wrestling market and an awesome city. I don't know.
I guess we'll see this summer on television how this plays out. And another bit of AEW news related to All In, the follow-up pay-per-view All Out was originally scheduled to be September 1st, and then it was announced earlier this week that show is being moved to September 7th instead. This means that instead of All In and All Out taking place on back-to-back weekends, just like they did in 2023, this year there now will at least be 2 weeks between the events. And honestly, I remember last year thinking that it was just ridiculous to try to invest, 5 hours because that's what AEW pay-per-views end up running. 2 weekends in a row was a bit much. So I think this is actually a good move.
And it's a big ask from your fan base too, to drop money back to back like that, because we're still, they don't have any cool deal where, we pay a monthly subscription and get all their pay-per-views. So everyone is a $50 drop.
At least if you wait 2 weeks, maybe you hit a separate payday for the fans out there. And other schedule shuffling news, originally USA was set to lose Raw in September and then gain SmackDown in October, but those plans have changed. Now SmackDown is going to move from Fox to USA Network in September, and then a corresponding move, a mini extension, is going to keep Raw on USA until it officially moves to Netflix in January. That latter move was kind of expected, that they probably worked that out to make sure that Raw was still on the air. But SmackDown heading to USA earlier is a bit more of a surprise. But it also means that, at least for the fall, Raw and SmackDown will be airing on USA together, which is somewhat of a throwback for old school Raw and SmackDown fans. As part of this same announcement, WWE also revealed that NBC will offer up 4 primetime specials each year on NBC as part of their partnership with WWE. Presumably, these will also end up on the NBC-owned Peacock streaming service as well. But stay tuned for all of that. Later on in the year, when we get closer to all these moves, we're going to have a show where we talk a little bit about what each of these moves mean when they're happening, just so that you'll make sure that you can keep your eyes on where your favorite show is going to be moving to, because everything's getting shuffled around. The landscape is changing greatly this fall.
Could be super confusing there for a few weeks. Super confusing.
It will be. That's why we'll be here to help the people through it.
We got you.
Last story, Doug, before we got you. Let's give that thumbs up and good luck and well wishes to the Mad King. Eddie Kingston is going to be out for a while. During his recent match in New Japan against Gabe Kidd, Kingston suffered a tibial fracture and a torn ACL and meniscus.
Ouch.
He will be out for at least 9 months. So no all in, no all out for Eddie, which is a shame. Those are probably big paydays, especially with AEW's ticket business kind of struggling right now. I'm sure that would have been lucrative had Eddie been able to make those. So get well soon, Eddie.
Get well soon, Eddie, and don't hit the ice cream too hard while you're off.
I don't get that. Is he
he made a joke the last time he was out about it. He may have hit the ice cream too hard and, put on a few pounds.
I mean, hey, it's summertime, man. It's summertime, the guy can't wrestle. Go for the ice cream. Let Eddie have ice cream. Main event time, Doug.
Main event time. Which one are we covering first? Which one? King, Queen, double.
We're going to go chronological order. So, King and Queen of the Ring is returning to WWE. It's been a strange thing. King of the Ring was one of the big four back in the day, along with Survivor Series, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, of course, WrestleMania. And then, it was kind of you minted the next guy. The up-and-coming guy was usually the person that ended up with the King of the Ring title. Once they started watering that down, not having it necessarily go to big stars, it became something where occasionally they would have it, occasionally they wouldn't, occasionally be on television. Sometimes years would go by, no one would even mention it. I personally always liked King of the Ring. I think it's great now that we have a king and a queen. So
absolutely,
I'm happy to see this return. I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I think it's a good move, and I agree with you. It kind of telegraphed. Okay, here's the next big guy. Here's the next it person. Here's who's going to get a push, and then it almost became, I don't know what it even became for a while. But I'm glad to see it back in this fashion.
It is definitely a bit different than it was back in the day. Not every match on the premium live event is a king or queen match. There are other matches as well. We're going to get into each and every one of these, and we're going to start with the King of the Ring tournament finals. Doug, we're obviously live on Thursday night. If those of you may be watching us on delay, so we have a couple more semifinal matches. So what we know is for sure Gunther is in the finals. He is going to be either taking on Randy Orton or Tama Tonga, and that will be decided on SmackDown, also from Saudi Arabia, tomorrow night. Doug, let's call both of these. Let's call the semifinal match first and then the final. So who goes on, Randy Orton or Tama Tonga? Who's facing Gunther?
Tama Tonga goes on because of bloodline interference, sneaky shenanigans from bloodline, because I think this year's King and Queen of the Ring return to form where we get to, mint those new up and comers and saying these people are your future champions. So I'm saying Tama Tonga goes over Randy Orton due to bloodline interference, which puts Tama Tonga versus Gunther.
I'm going the other way.
Oh,
right. I know it doesn't make sense for Tama to be handed a loss, but I don't know that black bloodline interference doesn't backfire and Orton moves on, maybe by disqualification. I think they will set up face versus heel, and I think that the more established superstar of Randy Orton goes on to take Gunther, and I think Gunther is going to be your next King of the Ring.
I absolutely think Gunther's going to be the next King of the Ring. I wasn't really thinking like that, but that gives Gunther so much more credibility when he goes over Randy. than a squash on Tama Tonga. But I don't think it'd be a squash with Tama Tonga. But
No,
I like your booking better actually.
I think that even if we both disagree on whether it's Randy or Tama Tonga, we both are in agreement that
Gunther, yeah, absolutely,
Gunther has got to be the king, man.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And do you think that this is not going to be the old school Vince McMahon? We're going to make you wear a crown and pretend to have an accent. And this is not going to be that kind of king. This is going to be Gunther saying, "I'm a main eventer now. I'm not even going back down to, to the Intercontinental."
Mm-hmm.
As impressive as that was, I'm a main eventer. I'm going for the world championship.
Absolutely.
That's what this is.
That's exactly what this is. Because I think, like I said, I think this returns to old school form, not the wearing the crown, talking with the accent. We don't get King Booker and all that from back in the day. We don't get that, but we do get the minting the next guy and gal in this case, since we also have a Queen of the Ring now.
Which leads us to our next match. Let's talk about the finals of the Queen of the Ring. Before we can decide who wins the finals, we have to know who joins Lyra Valkyria. Lyra's already in there. Is she going to be taking on Nia Jax, or is she going to be taking on Bianca Belair?
Oh,
that's the semifinal match that'll happen on SmackDown. Jax versus Belair. There's a couple of arguments you can make for that one.
Either way, yeah, you really could, because now oh man, I'm going to say Nia Jax. I'm with you. I see Nia Jax. I'm not sure how Nia gets a win over Bianca, but I'm going to say Lyra goes up against Nia. And, my call for that is, like I said, we're crowning future world champions. Lyra goes over in the Queen of the Ring.
I definitely believe that it will be Nia Jax, as much as I think it'd be fun to see Bianca on her way to being queen. I don't think they'll go face versus face. So I think you're going to have the big bad heel. I'm going to disagree with you, though, on Queen of the Ring. I feel like even though Lyra makes sense from hey, she's the next big thing, I don't know yet. I'm no Nia Jax fan, so I'm not making this call for that reason. I'm making this call because I can see her being a really annoying, in the vein of the rubbing it in your face that I'm a queen,
wearing that crown, doing the work.
Yeah, that I can actually.
I can
with
see that.
Her character, I can see that being the course of action they take here, because I don't know yet if Lyra is connecting the way that they thought on the main roster. But to your point of her maybe being queen, it would be one way you mint her as a big deal by not just having Becky talk her up, but also have her with a significant win. So I would prefer your booking. I just have a feeling we're going to see Nia Jax in a crown for the next few months, waving a scepter around until Jade or Bianca or somebody comes and knocks her off that pedestal. I just have a feeling.
Yeah, it could. I like my booking better, but you may be very, very right about that.
This is one of those times I want to be wrong. I definitely want to be wrong.
It also gives Lyra something to work for, and it's always better when, they're chasing after it instead of just going straight for it. But I would like to see her just with a rocket strapped to her back, because I really think defeating Io Sky on Monday, was a good push in the direction for her and saying, hey, here we go. Here's what's next.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk now beyond the King and Queen final matches. We got 3 more matches that are currently announced as taking place. I think that 5, maybe with one addition, something coming out of SmackDown or something not yet announced. I don't think with WWE showing a lot more restraint here lately, I think they'll go mainly with a 5-6 match card, be fine for a tight 3 hours in Saudi Arabia. This next one will probably be one that would, could be a show stealer, and that's a singles match for the Women's World Championship. You have your champion, Becky Lynch, taking on Liv Morgan on her Liv Morgan Revenge Tour.
I think the Revenge Tour is a little silly, but I have to say, it has got to be Liv's time. It has got to be absolutely Liv's time now.
I think that Becky doesn't lose anything by losing to Liv. And if not now, when will you ever pull the trigger on Liv Morgan? I do think that the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour has, even though the injury was real and unfortunate, I think that capitalizing off a real life injury, like what happened to Mommy, I think now would be the perfect time to have Liv do something similar and take out Becky here. I would like to see this title change because I don't know that anyone is necessarily expecting that Liv Morgan is on the same level as Becky Lynch, and it would be cool to see that proven out to be incorrect.
And then, you know, we build for Mommy's return then too. So
that would be awesome. And there's plenty of things for Becky to be able to sink her teeth into.
Absolutely. So so we're both in agreement here. It's finally Liv's time, as if we were booking anyway.
I'm going to say, yes, we are making predictions. Maybe we're talking from our bookers' hearts instead of our predicting hearts, because I'm pretty sure there's way too much video evidence. If anyone wants to dig into the archives of our show to see me predicting a Liv Morgan victory, only to, I'm pretty sure I've said it's finally Liv Morgan's time 100 times on this show, and it's never been. So.
But you know, to your point, if not now, when? WWE has teased us with this and then jerked it away from us so many times. Babyface, heel, babyface, Liv, nope, almost, nope, almost, nope. Come on. Give that girl a title. Sami
Zayn, Chad Gable, Bronson Reed, a triple threat match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship.
So this
this one's interesting.
It absolutely is
interesting. And the triple threat aspect just puts another wrinkle into it.
Yeah, because Bronson just throws like a whole other element in there. You know, because if it was just Gable and Sammy, I would say Sammy comes out on top because, you know, Otis turns babyface, you know, breaks away and doesn't interfere, or does interfere, but on Sammy's behalf behind a ref's back or something, you know, something where Chad Gable gets his comeuppance. But you put Bronson in there, and I'm not sure how to book this one or how to even call this one now, unless, you know, Chad and Sammy shenanigans, Otis gets involved, Bronson's able to take advantage of it, and he comes out on top, which I would love to see. Love to see Bronson Reed with the belt. Sammy loses nothing. You know what? I'm calling it like that. Bronson Reed comes out on top because Sammy loses nothing. He and Gable can still go on. Gable can, you know, reform a stable of real heels, and, you know, Otis breaks off to do something else. Yeah, I'm calling it for Bronson. I just talked myself out of it. Bronson it is.
So I kind of like the fact that normally, though Doug and I are in lockstep, we're in a lot of disagreement on King and Queen of the Ring.
Yeah,
because I am going Chad Gable.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think that Chad Gable is a very underrated talent.
Agreed.
And I think, though, the focus on him right from the start of trying to pump up Sami Zayn for the WrestleMania match, and now watching the Chad Gable Alpha Academy stable fall away from him one at a time, I think that there is a renewed focus on Chad himself as sort of a solo act. And I do think that the Bronson Reed wild card element of this is actually going to provide the heel opportunity for Chad Gable to sneak this one away from Sami Zayn, despite Otis's best efforts to not comply with his boss's wishes. Otis is going to do the right thing. He's already shown indication that that's where he wants to lean. And yet Chad's going to come out on top anyway, and Sammy and Otis now will then go after Chad. Sammy will be the mentor now for Otis, and you will see a big maybe SummerSlam Chad Gable Otis match.
I like that
for the title on the line. So again, instead of just predicting, we're booking here.
We're booking, yeah, absolutely.
I do think it's interesting though that both of us, despite different predictions, think that Sami Zayn is losing this one.
Well, this is true. Yeah. Yeah, Sam, because I like your idea that Sammy's WrestleMania moment was actually a build for Gable. You know, there's been such a very long time where I would just go, come on, man, this is WWE we're talking about. That's way too long term booking you're talking about there. But I think it's a very much a reality with under a Paul Levesque era, and
It's a new era.
yeah,
And I hope the people in Saudi like the heels, because we're having a very heel heavy prediction show tonight. Not so much though for this last match that we're talking about, and that is the undisputed WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes defending his world title against Logan Paul, the United States champion. I imagine that Paul will acquit himself well, especially for a big match like this. He'll prepare. He'll look good. Absolutely. Cody Rhodes is not losing to Logan Paul at 1 p.m. in Saudi Arabia, King and Queen of the Ring.
No, he is not. If he was, they wouldn't have worked themselves out of a corner with Logan Paul swindling like the title for title thing. In the contract, Logan Paul's keeping his belt, and really, so is Cody.
So this is one that we are in lockstep on.
Absolutely.
Cody is not going anywhere. With that, Doug, we have Saturday already booked.
Yes, we do.
It. And it's good that we got it, because WWE has a nice tight 5 matches scheduled for Jeddah. And of course, Tony Khan and AEW has like an 8-hour extravaganza with like 20 matches on Sunday. So we better catch your breath, because
I know I'm trying
before we go into this.
It's still loading over here on my iPad. Give me a second. There's a lot of matches here.
I got you. We got 10 matches. So
oh my goodness.
I'm only being somewhat facetious, knowing that some of these will happen in the couple of hours that they'll have pre-event for their 0 hour. Or I guess it's the buy-in. 0 hours to Ring of Honor.
Right. What, don't they also do? Did I hear something last night about? Is there a Rampage, then a 0 hour, then the pay-per-view, or something like that? Is that a thing, or did I hallucinate that?
You hallucinated that.
Okay, well, there we go. I need more sleep, Kevin.
But they're probably good to have the programming note that we do have some changes. If you are watching us live or watching us before this weekend, Rampage is on at a special time on Friday.
Okay,
it's early. It's like 6 o'clock, 6:30, something along those lines, because of the basketball championships. Same thing on Saturday. Collision is moving from TNT back to TBS, which they did here recently. Okay. And then, of course, you have your 9 hours of AEW entertainment and our pay-per-view on Sunday.
Okay. I thought everything was moving to Sunday for some reason. They were just going to have like 42 hours all on a Sunday.
Okay. They literally don't have enough hours on Sunday to maintain Tony's booking. Doug, let's start off with the AEW International Championship. We have our champion Roderick Strong about to say goodbye to his title because Will Ospreay.
Bye-bye.
Will Ospreay ain't losing for a while, and he's certainly not losing to Roderick. No offense, Roderick, but no. I guess this will be the first, unless there's interference that makes it a non-finish. Will Ospreay is going to be winning his first AEW championship.
Yes, because well, maybe there is some interference there. I'm not sure how healthy Adam Cole is. I'm not sure what's going on with Wardlow, but yeah, we got the Kingdom and Roddy running around. So maybe all of the Undisputed Kingdom shows up and screws Will, which leads to something maybe with. Honestly, the only person in the Undisputed Kingdom I see who could have I'm not saying not to disparage anybody in that stable, but the only named guy there is Adam Cole, and I'm not sure what kind of condition he's in. And I don't know. Will Ospreay's not losing, man. He's not. I'm sitting here trying to book it like you're talking about, but no, Will's not losing. He's just
And
not happening.
it makes some thematic sense to have your new recruit that lives in England and comes over for a couple of matches to be your
Absolutely.
international champion.
Absolutely.
You could very easily ship him off over to New Japan or
Yeah.
any of the indies in that are so
Mhm.
strong in Europe and
Yes.
England, and have him defend your AEW International Championship internationally.
True. So true. Yeah, Will ain't losing.
Doug, we have a singles match for the AEW Women's Championship.
Yes, we do.
Timeless Tony Storm with Luther and Mariah May versus Serena Deeb.
Man, I really like the professor, but Tony's going to remain timeless, man. It's Tony's remaining timeless. I think if anybody's taking that belt off of Tony, it may be Mariah May at some point in the future.
I love what they're actually doing, setting up Mariah May and Timeless Tony Storm. And honestly, Mariah May just gets more impressive every time I see that lady in the ring. I mean, she's really, really good.
I at first honestly thought, okay, well, she's just a pretty face, and then oh no, wow.
There's a reason she was a big star over in Japan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was your clue right there, and I don't know how I overlooked that. I'm old.
The pretty face.
I guess so.
Yeah, which seems to be the distraction for Tony Storm too. They have an interesting relationship there, and I don't see them losing that good television as much as I like the professor. I would actually love to see down the road a world title feud between a Serena Deeb and a Deonna Purrazzo.
But
too. If Deonna didn't take the title from Tony Storm, I don't think Serena is going to.
Yeah, Serena's not. But yeah, it'll be a hell of a match, absolutely. But Tony remains timeless.
Doug, this next one I want to talk about is one of those overbooked AEW Tony Khan specials. It is a barbed wire steel cage match. I believe that along the top of the cage, they are lining it with leeches who all will be holding tiny shivs. And
the cage itself is going to be electrified.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course.
And they're explosives, and they're explosives underneath. And sharks. They're also sharks.
Oh, there's a moat around the ring. Yeah.
Yes, a moat.
Why? I mean, you could have a perfectly legit hardcore contest between an Adam Copeland and Malachi Black that doesn't need the bells and whistles. Tony loves bells and whistles. Okay, we're getting not just the steel cage match, not just the barbed wire match. We're getting both. I expect with these two veterans of the ring that we will see a tremendous match. I would actually love to see Malachi finally achieve something significant in AEW, but I don't know that Tony doesn't love having a legend like Adam Copeland as a champion right now.
And if Tommy End's contract is near its end and we don't see him win a belt here, I think it's pretty much seals the deal that the House of Black is just gonna be without its leader.
Yeah. What are they without Malachi?
What are they? It's it's Rhea Ripley's boyfriend and that big dude from Ring of Honor. And the cheerleader.
Both impressive and they're all right.
Absolutely. And the cheerleader that's dark and twisty now but can't wrestle because we saw her get hurt.
I suppose, though, if you can have a Blackpool Combat Club without Steven Regal, you can have a House of Black without Malachi Black.
You totally can. But, I really think it kind of telegraphs, Malachi Black, Aleister Black, Tommy End, whatever you want to call him. It really telegraphs his future, this win or loss. And I'm with you. I think it's going to be a loss to, I guess, Brood Edge. Are we going to get Gangrel in his corner this, on Sunday?
That was a lot of blood that was dropped from the ceiling the other day. I actually did like the callback that, hey, I do the mystic stuff too. I was there 20 years ago, kid, But you are thinking then that not only is Malachi losing, you'd think that he is on his way out of AEW. That's something that's been kind of rumored for almost since the moment he got in AEW.
Yes.
There's been rumor that he's unhappy and leaving AEW.
Yes.
Not to sidetrack us for predictions, but if you see him leaving, do you think that because it is a new era, is he someone that you can see coming back into the WWE fold, or is he probably just on his way out of the mainstream wrestling scene?
No, I think he goes back to WWE, man. I think Triple H can do so much with him. So much with him. I mean, we remember Aleister Black when Aleister Black was at his
Was
peak and how awesome, those black masses were when he would take people out with them, and just what a great striker and just character that he was. And then it kind of got lost somewhere. I mean, he had the potential to be basically the same character in AEW, and even ported. It's like going from like PC to like PS, 5. The game port is there. It's pretty much move set for move set and everything. But somehow nobody played him when he was over in AEW. Everybody went for the shiny old dudes.
It has been disappointing that he hasn't been more of a big deal. I do think it is an Andrade situation where Triple H knows what to do with them and will take him back with open arms. So
absolutely.
Go ahead, Adam Copeland. Let's beat him so that we can get him back to WWE and let's do something with him.
Yeah, concerto him, blood him, whatever. Let's get him. Let's send him home.
What we have next, Doug, is a New Japan, not a World Heavyweight Championship match, but a IWGP World Heavyweight Championship eliminator match, meaning that if Takeshita wins, he will receive a future shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. So that title is not on the line, but it is Jon Moxley, your champion, taking on Takeshita. Don't you think, though, when they do these eliminator matches, you have to get a little more juice, to squeeze a little more juice out of this? You have to have I know that's actually the next match I want to talk about, but no. Don't you have to have Takeshita win so that there is a title match down the road?
It's funny. We're talking about Moxley and juicing.
That's funny too. Yeah.
But I ended up thinking of the bloodbath we just saw, we're talking about, but yeah, just because there's that stipulation there, this is a way for Mox to lose, but not lose anything, because the stipulation is even if Mox no longer holds that IWGP title down the road, Takeshita still gets a shot at that title, regardless of who has it. So,
the only thing that gives me hesitation is Moxley doesn't lose. Moxley has suffered very, very few AEW losses. But I also feel that he's overall a team player and is willing to do so. And I think that this might be that moment to do so, because I think there's so much potential in Takeshita. And even if we have to have a Don Callis family run in or something to make it more palatable for Jon Moxley to lose, I just think we're at the point in Takeshita's development that it hurts him to take a loss right now. Yes. And it does him a lot to be considered next level main event guy down the road.
Agreed. And it does a lot for him to get a win over Mox. And you're absolutely right. Mox is an unbelievably corporate AEW guy. And, he's not like your suit and tie corporate guy, but I mean, he bleeds AEW.
Literally.
I mean, all that blood in the bloodbath could have been him just in the rafters.
So we're predicting the rare AEW pay-per-view loss of Jon Moxley. So that's worth tuning in for alone. Doug, deep breath. We're halfway through the card. All right. Trent Beretta, Orange Cassidy. Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy against his former best friend from the Best Friends, who ended the career of his other best friend.
What's going on here? Because because Trent Beretta tries to paint himself as the heel. It's that great villain thing where I'm the bad guy, but I'm not really the bad guy because I'm doing the bad guy thing for the best of reasons, because you guys don't see what Orange Cassidy is and has done to us throughout our existence here, but I'm going to point that out, and if you're not along with it, I'm sorry. Are we all going to be wearing shirts 2 months from now that says Trent Beretta was right? Does Orange Cassidy go heel? I mean, there's loose affiliations with Don Callis already. There's that mystery thing going on. I don't know.
I think that Trent Beretta needs a win, and Orange Cassidy is Teflon. And so I think that you can continue the Don Callis storyline of, hey, buddy, I got you. If you had me in your corner, this wouldn't have happened. But one of the downsides of AEW doing their win-loss records to make it feel more sports-like is you have an instance where on Dynamite, I noticed that Trent Beretta is barely 500. He's like 9-8 this year. So, I mean, he's not exactly, even though they're trying to make this a big deal, and it has been engaging television to see the best friends implode. It doesn't have the weight it would if Trent Beretta was a steady winner, which he is obviously 9-8 not. He's sometimes been a jobber. I think a win over an Orange Cassidy is exactly what the Trent Beretta character needs, and I think that that's the way that they'll book it.
And I want my Trent Beretta shirt was right, or Trent Beretta shirt was right. Trent Beretta was right shirt. I don't know. I'm gonna have another drink. It's prime. It really is just prime.
Are you thinking Trent also?
I am. Yeah.
Alrighty. The next match, Doug, is a 3-way for the World Championship. Champion Chris Jericho.
See what you did there.
With Big Bill is taking on Hook and Katsuyori Shibata. Hi, guys. Chris Jericho in his latest reinvention. I'm not so sure about this particular reinvention. There's times it works for me, and other times I'm not sure if it's go away heel heat that he's getting instead of like we think this is entertaining heel heat. But I don't think it's time. I mean, not that I don't think it's time. I don't think that Tony thinks it's time, and that this Jericho thing will string out a little longer until it's just him and Hook without Shibata added in the mix. Shibata's taking the loss here, and Jericho and Hook continue.
Yeah, Jericho and Hook continue. And we got Big Bill there. So Big Bill sitting under the learning tree that is Chris Jericho now will, of course, play a major role in Jericho's win.
I mean, that is his dad's title. His dad started the FTW championship. So eventually it's got to be Hook Jericho one-on-one.
Absolutely.
In a big match. And no offense against Shibata, who is awesome and way better than this angle, honestly. Deserves better, but he will be going out on his back, and he is playing the third wheel here just to take the pinfall.
Yep. Agreed.
Doug, we got the Bang Bang Gang of Jay White and the Guns against Death Triangle for the AEW World Trios Championship. Death Triangle, of course, being Pac, Rey Fenix, and Penta El Zero Miedo.
So is this for the it's for the AEW? Okay, Unified AEW, right? This is for the Ring of Honor title. Okay.
The Unified AEW World Trios Championship.
Okay. I would. Here's what I would love to see, Kevin. I would love to see Death Triangle get the Trios Championships back. I would love to see the Bang Bang Gang implode, the brothers' ass go their own way, and give Jay White what Jay White deserves.
An actual main event push as a single superstar.
Yes, stop mentoring the ass boys and. You know,
do you think then this match is the first step in that? Are we predicting Death Triangle walking away with the championships here, or is this just what you want to see happen?
That's just what I want to see happen.
So you think that the Bang Bang Gang is going to retain?
I think they will retain just because it looks so damn cool when Jay White carries that bat around with all those belts on it.
I have to say, they have like one of the coolest entrances. Like I love their entrance. I love the music.
Yes.
The music is fantastic. But then there's the fact that one of the greatest talents on earth isn't battling for the world championship, and that he's in trios matches all the time.
Yeah,
I would even be fine if Austin and Colton were henchmen that just did his bidding, and he was the one out front, and they just interfered a lot and tagged, and he just led a faction. But the fact that he's always in these trios matches as if they were his equal, and that he's no better than trios championships, which no offense to anyone who loves the trios division, Jay White is more than that. I'm with you though.
Absolutely.
I think that the Bang Bang Gang is on like 5 times a night, it seems, on TV. So Tony loves them.
Yeah.
And I think that they'll continue as champions.
Do you think that Jay White has kind of settled into this like Shinsuke Nakamura thing where he's like, I'm getting paid, I'm not having
I've,
to like kill myself every night, I'm good
and the
with this.
money's better, and I'm home.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think he's kind of settled into something like that? Because you never hear. I mean, dirt sheets are always spitting out this person's unhappy, this person's unhappy. I'm not hearing a thing or reading a single thing about Jay White being upset with his position. It's
No,
to the contrary. It's like he's just rolling with it and he's happy with whatever they hand him and just running with it.
and if
So
so, kudos to him. We want more
absolutely,
for him. Maybe there's an understanding that down the road you do this for a while, and this is waiting in the wings, and that would though mean Tony Khan has some real long-term booking set in place, and that has not been the hallmark of Tony Khan of the last 2
yeah,
years. But yeah, Bang 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 is going to continue, but I would love to see Jay White break away.
yes, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to break away Jay yet.
So good segue, I guess, and that we're going for one match where we can question Tony Khan's maybe odd booking decisions to another odd booking decision as Mercedes Moné, the big acquisition from like 9 years ago, it feels like now, is finally going to get into the ring and have her first in-ring match. Doug, Triple H kept Jade out of the ring because she was green. Why in the world did Tony wait this long to get Mercedes Moné in a match, in this singles match for the TBS championship against your champion Willow Nightingale?
I don't know. I don't understand this. I I don't understand what's going on with her. I was super hyped when she debuted. I thought this was going to be awesome. It has been anything but awesome. It's ridiculous that she does not get in the ring. Only when she does get in the ring, she just talks. And you really see how she's never really been that good of a talker. I think the WWE did a pretty good job of with her scripting to keep her on track, keep her focused. But now every promo, if she's a baby face or she's a heel or she's a tweener, I'm not even sure what she's supposed to be. I think she thinks she's a heel, but I'm not sure if that was the intention from the beginning. But then I think, how can you not be the heel when you're going up against the Bailey of AEW, which we're in Willow.
And
I'm so
a Willow who has not been champion very long. Part of the
exactly.
confusing part of this booking for me is if had Tony Khan had Mercedes Moné in the ring multiple times leading up to this, she could have been accruing victories and making this match harder to predict or maybe more palatable to taking a loss. How do you have Mercedes Moné come and lose in her first in-ring contest? But also, how can you have Willow Nightingale, who has just recently become a major star for you, lose this early into her championship run? You could have solved all that had Mercedes Moné been wrestling the last 2 months. You could have had her taking a loss and it would be less pressure. There's a lot of pressure on this match for Mercedes Moné and Willow Nightingale to deliver, which I fully expect that they will. But It also is a lot of pressure as to who goes over, because both of them, based on Tony's weird booking, need this. Willow needs to retain. This is one of her first real defenses of any real note. And this is Mercedes' first match after a long history in WWE. They both should win this. Only one can. So what does Tony Khan do because of the corner that he has booked himself into?
Yeah. I don't know here. Historically we know I don't bet against the boss. This isn't the boss though. This is the CEO. And I don't know that Willow can lose. I mean, you talk about major heel heat if Mercedes does take out Willow, and this one is hard for me to call because there's not a good call here. There's not a.
So that's why I think maybe, and this will be very unpopular, and maybe it's a cop-out for me, but I think that Tony's going to do the cop-out, and I think that he'll give the cheap finish here. There will not be a winner. I think that they might find a way to have this, Mercedes tries to get revenge and like tries to, injure Willow to a point that she gets herself disqualified, make it very clear she's a heel, something where neither woman has to actually be the loser, because I really don't think that Tony put himself in a position that he can make either of these women the loser. So he's going to have a match where people are booing the finish because they're not going to be happy with it, but he's not going to really have a lot of choice.
Yeah. Or yeah, there I see like some screw job ending like that, not like a Montreal screw job, but something wacky like that. It just has to be that way because there's so much of a corner, because you had the story there, you had the real life story, of Mercedes and Willow, their first match for that championship, and Mercedes gets hurt, can't finish the match. Willow goes over. Who knows if that was actually supposed to be what happened, but that's where that ends up. And now so many months later, you bring that back around. Okay, that's great, but who's the babyface? Who's the heel? What's going on here? And you go forward from there. And to your point earlier, Triple H did keep Jade off TV. He just teased her like maybe twice. He didn't put her on TV every week to talk. We didn't get that tease. Hey, I'm going to show up and talk. I'm going to show up and talk. I'm going to show up and talk. Here's Jade Cargill. She's a big deal. You're going to see her in the future. A couple months later, here's Jade Cargill. She's a big deal. I mean, look at her. You're going to see her. Then, boom, here's Jade Cargill. Yes, she could be Storm. That's what we're going with too, by the way.
So in this instance, you think then that Tony does do a cop out? Do you have a winner prediction?
I don't have a winner prediction. I can't predict this. The whole thing leading up to this doesn't make sense.
It's been wrong. No, it's been wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's not that one of those, gosh, this is too close to call kind of thing. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what's going on here or what's supposed to happen.
Well, that is a good segue, because this next match is all about I don't know what's going on in here, what in the world's going to happen, because we have the return of Anarchy in the Arena, which means spot. Maybe pre-tapes. Perhaps they do part of it live. These have been mixed bags in the past as to how they do it. Sometimes they've been incredibly entertaining. Yes. Sometimes they've been overdone. I wouldn't expect a lot of long-term selling or ring psychology in this one. That's definitely the loser of this match, is the Art of Pro Wrestling.
Yes.
But we do have the Elite versus Team AEW. Of course, the Elite, Okada, the returning Jack Perry, the Bucks against Team AEW, which is Bryan Danielson, Darby Allin on his broken foot or whatever, and FTR. Man, this has got to be the Elite, right? I mean, it has to be the Elite.
Absolutely. You can't end like their NWO like takeover of Dynamite already. They've got to run this show for God knows how long. So you can't defeat the Elite right now. They've got to get a good victory under their belt and move forward.
Unless. And again, I just predicted one thing and then booking another way. I do think the Elite win. If they wanted to go the other way and have the team that really isn't a team,
right,
the faction that's not, actually go over, Kenny Omega makes his presence felt.
Either that or Hangman shows up.
Either one, storyline wise, can keep the Elite running the show, because there's really nothing at stake here except pride.
Yeah.
And they can move on from, Darby Allin and Bryan Danielson for some reason, and instead move on to Kenny Omega and Hangman, who have legitimate history and gripes with the Elite. So I think that the Elite will win, but if we do see a Team AEW victory, I agree with you that we're going to get interference on the good guys' behalf.
Yeah, because this team, it's this loose conglomeration of AEW dudes. Yeah. I mean,
just random
dudes. I mean, you got Team CM Punk there. You got with FTR. You've got a dude who got hit by a bus like 3 weeks ago. Legitimately got hit by a bus. Yeah. Then you got Bryan Danielson. Where's the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club? Where are they? Why didn't they not have his back on Wednesday night? When he goes up against Team Slapnuts like he had to. What's going on? What is Tony doing? Remember remember when I used to get on here and I was Dynamite Doug and I would be like all over Team AEW? What the hell?
We can talk about this next match, though, as a good decision. Swerve Strickland is our world champion. That is a good Tony Khan decision.
Yes, it is.
I'm actually fine with his challenger as Christian Cage because it is a match that will be solid. It won't be a show stealer, even though it probably should go on last, but it will build the resume of Swerve Strickland because Christian Cage will be the good soldier. He is not a threat at this point in his career to take that championship, especially with Swerve just getting it. So it's Swerve all the way, and Nana's back, which, you know, that just makes me happy too.
That's it. Nana's back. It's Swerve all the way, and it does a lot to put Swerve over because first you had to separate Swerve as the babyface champion from the Mogul Embassy. You have to get them away from all that, get them away from that, and then keep Nana with him because that's just gold, right? And Nana's not like a major threat in the ring or anything. You know, he's like Heyman, just kind of floating around on the outside, so that still works. And now you have him going up against really a faction. You know, you have him going up against the patriarchy. So you know, he gets a victory over not just Christian, but over Christian's entire stable, which looks good for him.
And Christian knows how to be a good heel, the old school heel of I'm not out here to get like cheered because I'm so bad, I'm cool. I'm so bad, I'm despicable, and everyone hates me and boos me. He knows his role of old school heel psychology. It'll be it's the right opponent at this stage in the title run. Swerve goes over though.
Agreed.
Doug, with that, we managed 2 pay-per-views, 15 match predictions. Where else are you going to get that but the Two Bros Wrestling Show?
You are not getting that anywhere else but right here, Kevin. Right here.
You're not getting it anywhere else. You also don't get the Big Finish on other shows, Doug. Let's go Big Finish and wrap this up.
Let's do it.
Of the week.
All right. This one may be a little too obvious, but this morning while I was watching Dynamite, because I didn't catch it live, but I did catch it this morning, I happened to see, speaking of Team Slapnuts, like I was earlier, what I have to call out as the botch because it was the biggest botch and it was just a bold face botch when Sanjay Dutt goes to clean the announce table and it is rigged to collapse so gently. You know, Sanjay Dutt is moving things and the entire table collapses. And then, to his credit, the big dude Satnam Singh, I'm pretty sure he was not sure what to do, so he just kind of ended up going over and sitting down in a chair. And then Brian had to direct some traffic. But everything, it was a decent enough recovery. But
it was hilarious, unintentionally hilarious. We know that tables are big, but maybe make them a little sturdier so that when Sanjay moves one of his pencils, the whole thing
exactly. I mean, I love Sanjay. Sanjay's great talent. That's a player from the Himalayas right there. So from way back, I love Sanjay. But come on, man. No, I don't see that as Sanjay's fault either. I see that as that was rigged, but.
Because we were doing a double pay-per-view preview main event, I'm doing a double botch.
All right.
I was giving my AEW botch to Sanjay and AEW's bad rigging of the table. For Raw, though, and WWE, if you're going to have Miz and R-Truth as a tag team and then make them rap together, at least make sure that Miz microphone is not twice the volume of R-Truth's microphone. I mean, maybe it was intentionally supposed to be bad and highlight the fact that Miz is not a rapper, but it was almost ear-piercingly harsh to barely hear R-Truth doing his rap, but hear Miz chiming in every fifth word, unrhythmically doing so.
That's a good one.
Doug, how about your performance or performer of the week?
So I have to give performers of the week this week to Props, Kevin, and mostly on AEW. From the bloodbath that was in the ring with Aleister Black, the collapsing table, Darby Allin's flamethrower, and I also have to put Tony Khan into props this week because not necessarily a talent, but he was very much a prop for Darby as he drives Darby in, then fist bumps him. and sends them in. So I'm giving my performer of the week this week to props in wrestling.
Very good call out, and that would hopefully make you very happy this Saturday too, because I think all the props are coming together in the Malachi Black Adam Copeland match. So be ready for more props. I'm giving my performance of the week to the King and Queen of the Ring qualifiers.
Nice.
I know we're talking about the finals. We predicted what's going to be happening tomorrow night on SmackDown as well as Saturday at the pay-per-view proper. But one of the reasons I love King and Queen of the Ring is you get to see the progression of these contests, and they've done a great job, I think, up to this point of making the pay-per-view feel like a bigger deal than it otherwise would have.
Yeah.
Just, if they cold announced that we're going to bring back King of the Ring and have it on one night, it would maybe not mean as much as we have watched over the last month some really great matches on both the male and female side of the roster. And the whole concept, I think, has been elevated by having the qualifiers on television that have been so pay-per-view quality, and they sell the pay-per-view and the concept of why King and the Queen of the Ring is important just by having so many good matches on free TV. So kudos to them.
We haven't really had a chance to talk about this, but what do you think about the King and Queen qualifiers at house shows? Because I kind of like that, because it makes the house shows a little bit more important too.
100%, man. 100%.
Because my knee-jerk reaction is like, okay, they're just throwing away matches, and it's like those don't matter. But the more I thought about it, no, those makes those house shows more important. It probably sells a little bit more tickets than it normally would, so it's a good marketing idea. And
especially when you follow up on your social media and on television with highlights and clips from house shows.
And when everybody's carrying around one of these in their pocket too, you're not only getting the highlights and clips that are professionally shot at the house shows, but you're getting everybody talking about it over the weekends too, which gets that much more social media out there about your product and other people doing your marketing for you.
Whether it has been the house show element of this or having all the qualifiers on free television as well, just the fact that we're going into King and Queen of the Ring, having already built up so much equity in the King and Queen of the Ring concept, is why it's my performance of the week. They've just done an excellent job in the execution of this one.
Yes, they have. They really have.
And Doug, that leads us to match of the week.
So I've talked about Malachi Black a bit tonight, and I'm throwing him and Kyle O'Reilly into my match of the week for this week, because I kind of forgotten how good both of these dudes are, and realized that Kyle O'Reilly's been off my TV for way too long, and he is way too good to he's just so good, and so is Black. I love that, and they had such great chemistry too with the striking, and even Excalibur and the rest of the announce team did such an excellent job of putting them both over. It just meshed, and it was one of those things where professional wrestling, where it comes together, it's like, oh yeah, this is really good. You're seeing something really magical here. Is it going to be a 7-star Meltzer match? No. But was it a damn good match? Absolutely.
I love that match. I thought it was excellent. Also, my match of the week, going back to the idea of how good the King and Queen of the Ring qualifiers are. It's a preview for, I guess this wasn't a qualifier, but it was a preview for what we can hope to see in the triple threat, and that's Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable. Those two have great chemistry together. Yep. I think that this feud will continue beyond whatever happens this weekend, but Zayn and Gable showed a glimpse of what it is they're capable of when they get in the ring against one another this past week on Raw, and I loved it.
Yeah. Good call.
With that, folks, we have a big weekend of wrestling coming up. Obviously, we are not going to be on Sunday night to not oppose Tony, and that's why one of the reasons why we had our show a bit early. We have a pay-per-view coming up, an NXT pay-per-view on the 9th of June, so that's 2 Sundays away, so we will not be on that night as well. But in between, on June 2nd, we return live to your screens, where we're talking about the new era of WWE. That will be an interesting show that we know that you have an opinion on. Let's separate the fact of what we love and what we've seen from this new era from maybe the hype and the fiction of what this new era actually might be. There's a bit of both. And we're gonna break that down on our next episode of the Two Bros Wrestling Show.
That's right.
Until that time,
go watch some wrestling, everybody. Thanks for watching.